Civic leadership is important today because, in a time in which we feel increasingly fragmented from one another, we really need to look to some leaders in our community who bring everybody together.
Richard has always intentionally behaved like he belonged in this community because the work that he was doing was not just about the return to his own company, but it was always about creating a better community, a better and more healthy and more sustainable region.
Richard Davis wound up being one of the very, very best partners I've ever had in any of the work I've done, in part because I think we had a common sense of how you see community and how you build it.
Community, to me, is when people intentionally behave like they belong together. Richard behaves with intent. He thinks beyond just what might just benefit him, but thinks about how to create sustainable returns that will benefit the entire region and helps to live that definition of community.
Over the years I've asked Richard for a lot of things, so when I had to come and ask him for funding for On Track, I knew it was the right idea. I was certain that he would like it.
RT was looking for a $150,000 investment in an education initiative that would drive a significant change in the high school graduation rates in Minneapolis. And RT came to Richard and I, and he wanted $75,000.
I knew from what I knew of the community that kids in this town could really deliver if we gave them a chance.
He put forward this really eloquent argument about why this made sense and why U.S. Bank should invest. And Richard stopped and he said, RT and Reba, I'm not going to give you that $75,000 that you're asking for. And our hearts just dropped. And he said, because I'm giving you the full $150,000, because that's what I want to make sure we do for the kids in Minneapolis and in St. Paul.
Richard didn't just give something. He required that we made sure it was effective enough that the gift really kept on giving, because he not only agreed to write the check, but also agreed to give us his brain power. On Track is now a huge success.
Richard, time and time again, proved that you can do the right thing, not just in your business, but also in the communities that you serve.
I think of the two things I worked on, the one he was even more engaged in was Step Up.
Through Achieve Minneapolis and the Step Up intern program, they created a way for kids to work in businesses over the summer and to get really valuable business experience.
We have served 27,000 young people, giving them paid summer internships with 200 employers. Richard, as a co-chair, it wasn't just his name on a figurehead. He really was involved in the programming. He would come to mock interviews every year. He would hand out his card to students and tell them to call him. He notices individual young people, so it's, we've made this difference for 27,000 young people, but Richard knows individual students, and he has mentored individual step-up students over the years. He's reached out to them, and that kind of authentic engagement and really taking so much of his time is very unusual.
When business leaders become community leaders, they can elevate and improve the work. When I think about some of the problems that our communities are facing, we need our best minds, we need the most dollars, we need attention and awareness.
What I think all CEOs need to be called to do is following that Richard Davis model of understanding that, yes, we have to be led by private business, but we also have to be able to be acutely aware of what's happening with government. We have to be acutely aware of what's happening in the philanthropic and the civic environment. We have to be acutely aware of what's happening in our universities and colleges and vocational systems. And even more importantly, we have to be able to have relationships that exist all the way down to those local neighborhoods and every single household that's out there, and feel like the work that we're doing is representing those things.
That's what Richard did. He didn't look at somebody who was vastly different than him and say, that's a whole different experience. He saw the humanity, he saw the struggle, he saw how you can succeed, and he transferred that thing deep inside him to other people, and now we just need other leaders in the community to do that too.
The next generation of leaders are coming from our community.
And the model that Richard had put forward around kind of civic engagement and leadership is that it's not just about your own short-term return on investments, but you have to be able to do certain things that are for the benefit of the entire region, and that those are investments worth making.